Hey there, welcome to the Breakthrough Creative. I'm your host, John McDavitt, and this is where we talk about the business of art and the art of business. It's been a little while. I had a couple of years of putting out an episode every week, and it's been a real joy in my life. And I had planned to do that up until several weeks ago when I came down with COVID. And it was quite a ride, my friends. It was a rough one, and you can still hear my breathing is a bit labored. I think I tore cartilage in my ribs because doctor is happy with my lungs. And I coughed so much, I think I just tore cartilage, and man, that hurts a lot. So didn't have any energy. I had a lot of brain fog, and I have a few episodes that are recorded but not edited. And I had really wanted to get my part 2 that I just recorded with my buddy Carlos Wante to talk about the designs he did for Dune and then the design process for Men in Black and It, the Pennywise creature, and then working on Prometheus with Ridley Scott. That's all coming. There's other stuff coming as well. May not be as regular as weekly for a little while. May just get into a new routine. But just wanted to let you know where I was and what was going on. And for those of you who did know what was going on and you're keeping me in your prayers, thank you so very much. Really appreciate you. So there you have it. That was my journey over the last 2.5 weeks. I've missed you guys. I've missed putting out the episodes. And I had really wanted to do an episode for Halloween, sharing about my experience working with a haunted attraction, a haunted house, right? And the main focus of it is, do your work, keep your head down, get paid. Let me walk you through that story because it's a really important one for each one of us to know and understand, and then even recognize when we're in the midst of it. So this would have been about 99 or so. It was a long time ago, about 22 or 23 years ago. And I had full head of hair and I was a young man. And I had a friend who had put on an enormous, amazing haunt. And it was called the Asylum Experience. And it was in a 100-year-old church building, like literally a limestone church building. And I want to say we were about 20,000 square feet. And we had everything. We had many things automated. We had a lot of people working by hand. There was so much design that went into that place, from the posters to the tickets to designing each room to sound design, mechanical design and engineering. There were welders, mechanical engineers, electricians. It was quite a feat. And when it opened, we opened to 4-hour lines. It was 4-hour lines every night. And when I got done airbrushing the characters who were going to be in the haunt each night, which may be, I don't know, it was somewhere 25-ish. I'd get done airbrushing and then off they would go. And each room was about 2 minutes. So it took you about 20 minutes to get through this haunted house. I mean, it was remarkable. And my friend Dave Link, who conceived it and oversaw it, just did remarkable work. And the team he put together was fantastic. Well, all good things must come to an end, right? I believe we did it for 4 years. and Dave sold it. And he sold it to a gentleman who bought it, obviously, and opened up this haunted house that was in a strange location. It was at a racetrack. So there had been investment from the owners of the racetrack into purchasing Dave's props and haunted house and all that. So here we were assembling this haunt. I was hired to do 4 to 5 murals, and then I would help manage it on the nights that we ran. Now, I had quoted, I believe, $15,000 at the time. I cannot remember if I got money up front. I think I did because I didn't work any other way. Well, it was fascinating because here we went from this 100-year-old church building to this massive, wide open, cavernous, poured concrete structure. And we were trying to make it dark and make tunnels and make it everything that the asylum experience had been. And that was a real challenge because of the size and scope of this place. Well, I did what I could for my part as components were built and ready to be painted. And so I remember painting this huge mural that went behind a cemetery scene. And in the cemetery scene, I thought I was going to airbrush everything, but it became much easier to hand brush. And I didn't use a lot of colors because in low light are rods and cones. However that works, you just don't see hues of color as much as you see values, lights and darks. So I began, working on this painting with a paintbrush, and I found that the texture of the vinyl backing that we were using for the mural gave me a lot of tooth. It gave a lot of texture that I didn't even expect I was going to have. It was remarkable. And it filled in a lot of the details that I otherwise would have longed to have painted. So I got this first mural done. And then I want to say there was a Victorian hallway, and there were 2 of them because we needed to have enough room for traffic flow to go through. So 2 is better than 1, right? If you can get 12 to 15 people in a hallway. And the hallway consisted of 8 doors. I think there were 3 on each side, and then 1 in the front and 1 in the back. You'd walk through the front one, that would lock behind you. I don't legally think you could do that to people anymore. And then the doors would start to shake and the walls looked old, like they were moldy and had been there forever. And then a black light would come on and all of these faces would appear. So I had airbrushed all of these faces, big, small faces, all scary, all looking right at the people trapped in the Victorian hallway. And that was all airbrushed. That was a lot of fun. So worked through both of those. And something really interesting, really pertinent to the story is I would have to walk past security on my way in and my way out. And there was an older gentleman there who would sit in security and he'd have you check in and sign in. And he had, I want to say 2 Doberman Pinschers with him, or German Shepherds. And they were not to be trifled with. So I did not trifle with them. And let's just call him Frank, just for the sake of the story. And Frank got to know me a little bit because I'd see him every day when I came in. And he got a bit friendlier as I made more and more passes back and forth, right? And one day I was leaving and I said to Frank, I said, "Hey, good night, Frank. Have a great night." He said, "Hey, wait a second. You come here." And you know, Frank was a tough guy, and I didn't know what he was after, so I walked over to Frank, and I was friendly with the dogs at that point, so they're sniffing me, and I'm petting their heads. And he says, "Hey," and he points right at me. He says, "Hey, you are a hard worker, a hard worker." And he used some expletives in there, and I didn't quite know how to take it. And I just said, I said, well, thanks, Frank. And he said, "No, listen to me. You are a hard worker. I see it on my screens all the time. You work really hard. You're a hard worker. Great job." And I thanked him, and he actually invited me to me and my wife to go stay with him and his mother somewhere in Florida, which was really, really kind. We didn't actually take him up on that, but left the night, came back, and there were a couple of guys there who were working on a maze that I had some airbrushing work to do on. And they were slow. They were slow. And one of the guys started to comment on my work and my workload and my workflow, and that I was very slow. And he didn't see I was going to get my work done. Well, I wasn't going to get my work done if this dude didn't finish up this maze. And I was a much younger man, and I let him have it. I really tore into the guy. There are better ways to do it. A little bit of sarcasm, a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of truth in the moment. But I just unloaded on this guy, and he never really talked to me again. But he got his part done so that I could then get my part done, and I finished that up. And then I had the waiting room to do, which was just me working on a mass of creatures and ghosts and goblins, and there's a big clock on it. And that had to do with the name of the haunt. Anyway, you know, we opened, and the haunt did its thing. Did not have the success they were hoping for. It did okay. There was a lot of expense that went into it. And you know, when you have a partner and they pour money into it and they have certain expectations, and then you have disappointment, that can be trouble for everyone. So on the last night, I knew I needed to get back to the offices the next morning. I needed to be one of the first people there to get my money, because if there wasn't a lot of profit and they weren't happy with the work, the early bird gets the worm, right? So I was up early. I want to say I was there at 8 a.m. I can't remember if there was anyone else there. I think there were a few people out there waiting. And I had never seen this man before who came out of his office. He might have been the CFO. I'm not quite sure who he was. And I stuck my hand out and introduced myself as John McDevitt. And he said, "Oh, John, come on in." And I walked on in, and he wrote me a check for the balance of the work that I had done. He didn't blink twice. He thanked me for all I had done, and off I went. Shook hands, off I went. So, moral of the story, work hard, because people are watching. People are watching. I'm certain Frank at the security cameras was letting the higher up bosses know what was going on. No matter what is going on around you, get your work done, and get it done to an extremely high level, the highest level you can. It makes all the difference in the world. People are amazed and will remember those who work conscientiously, who work intentionally, who deliver quality, who aren't big talkers, okay, and time wasters. And then the last part of the story is, when it's time to go get your money, go get your money. Go get in line. Make sure that you get your money. Terms should be all set, but strange things happen when people lose money and they decide they don't want to pay anybody. You don't want to be stuck in that group. You want to get your money. You want to get paid because you've put a lot of time and effort into the project. So that was the last haunted house I worked on. I really enjoyed the process. I really enjoyed creating environments that would push people in certain emotional directions. And I'm a horror movie monster guy from way back, so that made it fun as well. So there you go. That was the episode that I had hoped to have out on Halloween. But that's it for now. I thank you so much for listening. I thank you for waiting patiently on me. And yeah, you guys are the absolute best, an incredible audience. And I hope you enjoyed today's story. I want you to get busy now about whatever it is you need to do next to make that next step to grow your business. Maybe it's going to be your first dollar that you're going to earn. Take that thing and frame it, celebrate it. Maybe you've been doing this for a while and it's a struggle and you need to learn some new skills, or you need to get a new mentor, or you need to take a class. Whatever it is, don't wait. Do that next thing. Even if you don't know it's the right thing, do the next best thing, because it is going to help you to propel yourself forward. If you sit and you're stagnant, nothing's going to change. You must keep moving forward. I want all of you to be incredibly successful, and I'm so glad that you were here this week. So go get them, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.